I'm an artist, and I am inspired by fire. I'm Brett. Fire, as I think everyone knows, it's captivating, and it's universal. That's why I know that everyone knows that, because everyone I've ever talked to can't take their eyes off a flame. It's inextricably entwined with progress and the establishment of human civilization. And at the same time that has the power to create, we cook with it, it moves us, it powers our lights in one way or another. It also has the power to destroy, so it's a threat. So before we come to art that uses fire, I think it's worthwhile taking a little tour of the history of our relationship with fire. So I'm pretty sure that as long as there have been trees, there have been forest fires, and all you could do was run. And then maybe a million years ago or so, a couple of cavemen showed up to a catalyst talk, and one of them got really inspired and ran into the burning forest and came back with a burning twig. So a million years after that, minus a couple hundred, we learned to use fire in the home to cook. And we were kind of off and running at that point. We had burgers made our way, shortly thereafter. In addition to cooking, fire is used to locomote us, to move us around, and for transportation. And the first type of engine that was used, that was invented, was called the external combustion engine. Or in this case, the steam engine. And what that is, basically, you're putting a fire, it could even be something like a campfire, but a lot of times it was coal, underneath a big pressure vessel with water in it, and you boil the water, and the water turns into steam, and then the steam moves a turbine, and the turbine moves you. It's big, it's not very efficient, and it's not convenient to move you around, not as convenient as the car. The car uses a different kind of engine called the internal combustion engine, and this represents a really big advance in terms of our use of fire, because you could make it much smaller, it's much more powerful, it's much more efficient, and you can drive around with it. And it turns out it's pretty safe. I mean, I ride a motorcycle. I don't know if other people are motorcycle riders here. We're putting an internal combustion engine in between our legs and driving around at safe speeds. This is actually a microwave. 1947 is the first microwave, but microwaves do not involve fire, usually. So for our purposes, it's not really relevant to this talk. I would say the pinnacle of our creation of devices that are fire is the pocket lighter, because the pocket lighter literally represents fire that is completely under your control at the flick of your fingers. BBC 4 did a show named Pocket Lighter, the greatest gadget mankind has ever created. And I tend to agree, because it's so convenient. And it represents all that power. I mean, the same old forest fire could be started just something you can flick with your fingers. So what about art? Fire is used all around the world in various forms of artistic expression. But is it legal? So that's kind of the first question that comes up whenever I talk about making art with fire is, can you do that? So we have a very special guest tonight that I would like to invite up. David Klein, our Las Vegas Deputy Fire Marshal, to say a few words about fire safety and permitting.
quick story about myself. I grew up about 2 or 3 miles away from here as a kid growing up. I'm probably older than most of you in the room.
Into the mic.
Including this. Is it on here? The technology, if it's on fire.
Just talk into it.
There we go.
Oh, that one.
Thank you. Here, take this one. Thanks for the dead one. Thanks for the dead one. Great guy. Okay.
Light it on fire.
I grew up. Yes, he likes fire. That's true. So do I. So, and you wonder why I'm here. I grew up here as a kid in the downtown area. I spent a lot of time here. We want to talk about passion. My history in this business is going back to right before the MGM burned. I was in the basement of the new MGM when the old MGM caught on fire, which killed a whole pile of people. I witnessed and helped and saw bodies and dead people and all kinds of great stuff, which is really not a lot of fun to talk about. That's my passion. Fire marshals typically do not like fire. It's just a bad thing. We just typically do anything we can, including this building we're in, including the surrounding buildings in the downtown, to do anything we can do to eliminate the cause of fires, including sometimes fire art. The first thing I learned, I went to Burning Man a year ago, learned some stuff, got engaged. I don't know. I was interviewed by KNPR and I got they said, what in the hell is a fire marshal going to Burning Man for? There's a couple interesting, if anybody's been, I don't know how many have been, there's some interesting views there. It's interesting folks, but there's some very technical, very good, very smart, very bright people that go to these things, and they all have a drive with a passion for fire. The one thing I took from there, coming back, is you get a concept. I learned not to say no right off the bat. Listen to it. Listen to the concept. Listen to what's going on and how we can fit this concept within the code. In most cases, there's not a code for it. We have to kind of think about it a little bit. You know, we've talked about different passions and different things and how these operate. The funny thing, there's a group in San Francisco in the fire department. They have a regulation where the surface temperature can't be more than 117 degrees to close these devices. Guess what temperature it's going to be tomorrow and Saturday? So that really doesn't work really well for Las Vegas. So we have to come up with different philosophies and we got to take the prescriptive code and get a performance guideline built out of it.
Do you issue permits for walking down the sidewalk now? Is that tomorrow we'll have to get a permit?
Yeah, we'll have to get a permit. And everybody in the room, I've got applications in the back and it's $80. It's all good. We'll bill you. It's all good. So, what a smart ass I am. He bought me into this. It's his fault. So we've got this, I get back from Burning Man and we decide we're going to do a burn last year. The burn goes off fairly well. We have no problems with it. I sat in front of the city manager, the fire chief, and the city attorney, and they said, if this goes south, so do you. That's kind of awakening. Todd, you better be passionate for what you're doing. You better trust the folks that you're going to do this with and make sure what we're going to do is going to be fine. And it was. Nobody died that I know of. Everything worked fine, and here we are today. We're talking about fire again. So we have some devices here. He's talking about, is it legal? Yeah, yes and no. Open burning in the city of Las Vegas and most places in California is illegal. But devices like this, what we do to make it legal is we have some trust in the developer and we get a plan and we understand what we're going to try to do. And this is all part of what we're going to try to do downtown here. We have a level of trust, and I'll say trust a lot because that's a very important part of this. We have a plan, we have concepts, we have a lot of conversations, which we've had multiple concepts, I think, over the last few months, talking about how we can integrate these into the downtown community for Shaeville.
You're still a little my thunder here.
A little bit, just a little bit, not much. And how we're going to integrate this and how we're going to make it happen and fit within the code.
Just thunder, not lightning.
No lightning. So, jeez, this is terrible. So what we try to accomplish when we do this is we come up with a concept, we come up with a plan, we come up with where we're going to do it. We have all the ideas of how we're going to do it and how do we make it safe. So we light things on fire, which is pretty exciting, actually. Not in here. Not in here. No, we're not going to light anything on fire in here. You learn about the device, you learn about the technology. I am not a technical guy whatsoever. I can take stuff apart and put it back together, but I just as soon just throw it away and buy a new one if it doesn't work. So there's a lot of interesting viewpoints that Fire Marshal has with this. I write codes across the country for international code groups and National Fire Protection Association. I write those codes. I develop that stuff. This doesn't fit into that. It just doesn't. None of this stuff does. They give you a guideline. They send you down a path of your passion. They kind of give you some ideas of what kind of guidelines you want to have. And then you're kind of on your own. You learn by experimentation. You hopefully don't make any mistakes. But we don't make mistakes because we have a lot of conversations and a lot of trust, and we do a lot of demos. You probably will see some coming up with different products and different items down in the valley here quite a bit. We don't want to see any of these in your backyard. We don't want to see any down in the cars. There's certain requirements that come into place. There are laws. Everybody has requirements. I do too. I'm waiting for my fire effect to have the place called on me. It's exciting. It's very exciting. I'm not going to spend too much time here. I'm really just kind of in support of Brett here and his product and what we're trying to do in the downtown. I'm going to bring him back up. I'm just going to stand next to him here and let him, let him shoot around.
Yeah, we'll show you some of these things that don't quite fit in a particular prescribed code, but that we could find a way to make it safe. I would say that the history or the story or the overview of my artistic journey has been one of controlling ignition and explosion in finer and finer ways. This is my first art installation. It's called the Hydrogen Economy, and it lets you sort of do a DJ. There's sort of like a DJ mixer where you can kind of go up to this panel and dial up whether you want more oxygen, propane. There's always hydrogen. That's the essential ingredient for this to work. Got to have them both. So this fuel cocktail is kind of pumped through these little plastic hoses down to this little robotic. It turns out it's just like a bubble machine at the end of the day, and it blows bubbles into this big plastic chamber, and then you get to hold a little wand that has an igniter at the end of it and sort of wave it around at these bubbles that are going. And you explode them. And the sound kind of cuts in and out of this, but it gives you an idea that like parents feels that this is safe enough to allow their youngins to do this, which is really fun, and it is. So it is possible to take something that was the DJ mixing board with propane and oxygen and hydrogen and make it so that people can just pop these explosive little bubbles. And actually, when you mix in enough oxygen, it's kind of a loud bang.
Up until the point that your hair gets sucked off.
Yeah, don't do that much. I took a foray in my next project, and I discovered a love of a material called carbon fiber. It's what Boeing is using on the Dreamliner. Battery problems aside, it's good for the wings. This is a garden of flowers made out of carbon fiber that shoot fire. Here's a few more images of those flowers on a stage. This is pericardium. It's really great to talk so much tonight about the heart. This is a fire sculpture with 40 torches that are triggered with your heartbeat. And the person in the middle here has got one of those little pulse oximeters that you put on your finger, like at the doctor's office. And the first, everyone does the same exact thing when they go up in the middle of this and they see their heartbeat pulsing in all these torches. They all run in place. They just try to get. It's really hilarious that every one, pretty much not fails, never fails. So I should say that all of these pieces of art are always a collaboration, and I just want to say to Eric Walker and Nick Dong, and Mike Thielvolt, and the people that are my closest collaborators, this is not a piece of art that I could ever make on my own. This is a hanging sculpture. It's one of, I don't really know too many other pieces of fire art that actually float in the air. There's a piece we did for the San Francisco Symphony. And one kind of cool thing about it is that it's controllable by an iPad. And for a while, we actually had the app in the iTunes store, and you can install it on your iPad, but it got really bad reviews because everybody said the iPad didn't ever shoot fire. And so we took it out. But so it has really, like I said, in terms of precision control.
Hi, I'm Brett Levine, president.
Oh, really? That's going to play. Okay. Right. So for the past 5 years, I've been on this journey developing this. So this is our latest product from Livespark that's inside this sculpture, and the one that you see here. And it's called a fire pixel because it works sort of like a light. It's an extremely fast 20 millisecond response time flame effect that makes about a 4-foot flame. You can change it up to 50 times or so per second, and you can have 1,000 of them all chained together. And you have all the kinds of iPad and precision control, and you can do all sorts of beautiful and amazing things once you have that amount of control over a fire. I'm going to play that. There's a few more pictures of this hanging sculpture. And here's a little video of it in operation. This actually had the previous generation of fire pixels, and the ones we have now are much more fire. So this is a proposal and a concept drawing that we've made for downtown project here, and it's called the Tree of Life, and it's at this scale, it's a rather monumental piece. There's a little person down there that you can see. It has 250 of these in it. We're talking about doing some early versions of this that might be a little smaller, and something that we could start with and work our way up to something like this. I would love it if one day we could stroll down Fremont Street or somewhere in this llama, I guess that's it's called, and see something like this. One aspect of it that I would love your input on is that we would like to include the community in contributing programs. You can program all of the fire to music or to anything, stock quotes, email, and weather, how hot it is out, whatever you like. And we're going to issue an open SDK that will allow software developers and musicians to submit programs for this. Here are some smaller concept renderings. This is neat because you can actually go inside there, and there are camera safety systems that will turn it off if people start messing with it. And there's even a thing where it'll call a security officer on their iPhone, and they can talk into it, and it'll say like, "Get down, the police are on their way," or something, and they can hear what's going on.
We actually have a set of pixels at the bottom that'll help them get out of there.
Yeah, right. Or we could just electrify it like we were talking about before.
Yeah, we have a couple of methodologies.
Here's a few more views of that. And this is a picture of what this is a preview piece. If that's the Tree of Life, we've been sort of jokingly calling this a plant of life. It's copper flowers, and the idea is that when the fire emanates from the lowest fire pixel, you're actually multiplying the light with these convex flowers so that you see it from more different angles, and thereby increase the amount of impact and the way it looks from different angles. So I won't turn this on, but that gives you a little sense of what it looks like.
There was a little bit of talk about the autonomous, and yes, we can do this within the code. We can do it autonomously. There'll still have to be somebody there, as we discussed,
to turn
anything on,
yeah,
and make sure the
turn
safeties are in place. Yeah. But there's no reason we can't do this autonomously. I know there's been a lot of conversation on how we want to do this, and most of the other jurisdictions I've talked to don't even want to talk about this. They absolutely will not do this. We're setting some.
We're working on it.
We're working on it. We're working on it together.
Yeah.
This is ground setting. This is big stuff here. Once this goes and starts happening down here, it's going to happen. It's going to spread like like wildfire.
Oh.
It is going to spread like that.
You heard the fire marshal.
It's going to spread like wildfire because there's a trust level. I've had conversations with other fire marshals around the country. I've done a little consulting work for Los Angeles and for Detroit and some people in New York on how are you guys allowing that to happen there? How? And they just don't get it. I'm getting.
It's possible. Okay.
Thank
Do we have
you.
any time for questions?
So-
do we have time for? We'll do one question.
I'm pretty much done, and please
Yeah.
take the questions.
Yeah.
I'm just here-
Sure. Well, unless it's for you. I can't see you very well, but yes, I see Anne.
Can you make the thing go? Like, can you make the fire come out of it right now?
No.
Ask him. Oh, he said no. We have this term we call. We refer to this as compliance oriented.
Yes.
He says no. We just don't do it.
Lighter. We can do the lighter for 10.
Anybody else? Oh, there's a lighter. Yes. Have we talked to the Bellagio about these? It's funny because we often sort of talk about the idea that this is sort of like the mini Bellagio fountains of fire, but no, we haven't talked to them. But as I understand it, there are several people from there that are working with downtown projects. So I don't know.
We expect them to talk to us.
I think it's really much more interesting to put this here than on the Strip, and also that's Clark County and this is Las Vegas City. So.
That's the other group that won't let this happen.
We're good. Thanks so much, everyone.